watching a lot of stuff lately on Disney Plus and MCU stuff. So I guess what I wanted to talk about was I watched Werewolf by Night and I really enjoyed it. I watched She-Hulk. I have some mixed feelings about that. So I just want to see what your take was on like how. I mean, what is your connection? I mean, what is your history with Werewolf by Night?
I've never heard of it ever. I thought it was interesting that Marvel was doing like a little presentation of whatever sort of movies. It's like old school movie horror night presentation of what they seemed like they're doing, which it was interesting.
You've never heard of Werewolf by Night?
No, I've never heard of it.
Tomb of Dracula?
I'd heard of Dracula.
You never heard of Tomb of Dracula?
That's a Marvel thing?
It was a comic in the 70s. That's how Blade was introduced.
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I ain't got my nerd card as high as yours. I'm trying to get my ranks up, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, I watched I watched it last night and it was cool.
Well, what did you like the most about it?
Well, here's the thing. It was cool, but it wasn't necessarily like my cup of tea. You know what I mean? It was cool, but it was like, it's a whole thing, man. Like, okay, let me this is what I was thinking about when it comes to that. The Werewolf by Night, right? My thing is it's in black and white, okay? And it's like it looks cool if you want to talk about the old school, like what they're trying to go for with it.
Frankenstein, the Dracula, all that stuff that they used to do.
For me, it just shows how scary Marvel is, how scary the MCU is. And I'm not saying scary like horror scary, like they're scared to show blood. And that's why I feel like that's the reason why they did the black and white thing. At first, when I first seen it, I'm like, okay, black and white, kind of okay. But they kept it up the whole way through. And at the very end, all of a sudden, the dude had, they showed him in color. So when they showed him in color, I'm like, okay, yeah, y'all playing games. All they're trying to do is downplay everything. And it's real, that's what it is. They're downplaying everything, and it's just very little kiddie.
You didn't think it was stylistic how they did the?
No, I think it was a cheap trick. Personally, I think they're stylizing it to disguise the fact that they don't want to show blood and really get gory, which makes me feel scared for Blade and makes me really scared for what they're gonna do with Deadpool or whatever's gonna happen with Deadpool.
But they didn't edit Daredevil or any of that stuff. Those shows where they put them on there. I mean, they kept them with the.
You said they're on Disney Plus as is.
Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying. This Werewolf by Night thing was interesting. Like I said, it was cool. It wasn't all that though for me. It was cool. It was entertaining and everything like that. I think that they're going about getting everything they need to get to have product and shows on to compete with like Netflix. This is the streaming competition times, and that they're just putting as much stuff as they can on there, and that's cool. But man, they should have made the whole thing color and show. Because you remember, you seen the best thing I seen was when the one chick at the very end had the sword, cut the chick, I think in her neck first, then put the sword in her head, and the sword stayed in there. That would have been so dope in color.
Elsa Blood, she's the main character, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, they changed her because in the comic book, she's really, she was a badass. She was a badass. But she's taller. I mean, in the comic, she's tall, and she's got like a ponytail kind of. I mean, it's interesting. I don't know what the Bloodstone actually does. I know it's supposed to make you stronger, but I didn't know it could shoot power blast out like that. Maybe there's something new. But I mean, I liked it. I would give it out of 5. I would give it like a 4.5.
Out of 5?
I mean, I loved it.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't give it that high.
I mean, because Werewolf by Night. I used to read Werewolf by Night comics when I was young.
So it was a comic series. It wasn't just a graphic novel.
No, it was a comic series. Actually, I had a record. It was a comic, and it came with a little 45 record inside, and it was real creepy because the guys all like Jack Russell's his ancestors were fighting Dracula. It's all creepy. And
like
scary.
The intro they did with the narrator was like that's what it kind of that feel.
Yeah, it was real creepy. Okay. And he was his ancestors actually fought Dracula, and it was a curse that was passed down. So the record was about him coming to terms with the werewolfism and having to lock himself up every full moon because he lose complete control.
And that's the same dude that portrayed the werewolf in this.
Yeah, Jack Russell. I figured it was Jack Russell. I mean, I figured it.
But they didn't say his name.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. I mean, it was like they kind of teased you at first, but I mean, because I am familiar with the character, I knew who he was.
Okay.
Yeah, and I knew he was trying to help Man Thing.
Oh, that was Man Thing? I know Man Thing.
Yeah.
I know that character. Okay, so that I liked their relationship. Yeah. I like that whole aspect of it. I mean, that's the thing. It was entertaining. My biggest concern, like I said, because it's the MCU and it's what's going on in the MCU now. So as I'm watching it, I'm just like, my whole thing is like, this makes me very fearful of the future of the MCU. No, because listen. Okay, just have it black and white all the way through if you're gonna do it like that. Then at the very end, when they revealed him and he's there to give him some coffee or whatever the hell that was, and then he and then it goes into color. The only thing that was colored the whole way through was what's it called, the
bloodstone,
bloodstone, which is like, okay, that was kind of interesting when it came to the intrigue of what they're trying to do when it comes to that. But keep the whole thing all the way black and white if that's the case. Why are you gonna make it color then? Why did they do that? Why do you think that they made that choice?
It was stylish. I mean, to me, it was paying homage to the old Universal movie monsters because those are Frankenstein and Dracula, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Invisible. All those Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. Those were all black and white, so it was like a stylish.
No. I'm saying, why did they choose to bring it into color at the very end? That's the thing, because this is Marvel, right? This is MCU, right? So that's the stuff that makes me concerned about the future of what's going on with the MCU, what's going to happen, because that was gory. Like, for instance, when he turned to the werewolf and he started wilding out on everybody, that was dope. Everything he was doing was dope. Blood was flying and everything. But this is dark. This blood is black. It's hitting the windows. It's black blood in the black and white thing. Blood is red. I can't tell that that's blood. It's just y'all could just be throwing oil or something.
They're not gonna keep it. But first of all, what they're doing with the werewolf, they're introducing the Midnight Suns, which is Werewolf by Night, Blade, Moon Knight, Ghost Rider. So I mean, they're gonna eventually probably form the team. So this is just a one-off. When he's with the group, it's not gonna be black and white, and it's gonna be gory.
No, you're not even getting my point at all.
I mean,
I understand what you're saying.
Let's think of it as a standalone thing where they introduced him to the mainstream audience. Maybe they did it because of like what you're saying, But I thought it was just a stylish. But anyway, let's move on to the next, to She-Hulk, because I want to see, did you watch that?
Yeah, I'm all caught up on She-Hulk.
What do you think about She-Hulk?
People have been bashing She-Hulk. They've been
really bombing it until the Daredevil episode.
Yeah, I want to just state my opinion is people have been bashing She-Hulk since the beginning. I've actually been enjoying it a lot. I think it's hilarious. The only criticism I can say is that sometimes she looked crazy. The CGI, she looked crazy sometimes. And it's funny because sometimes they make the shots to where you don't see her up close on purpose, so you can't tell how bad the CGI is. But when it comes in on the head, the up close shots, I'm like, ooh, pull it back again. I don't need to see her that close. But I like that actress. I really like that actress. I like her as both characters. I hate the way it's like they be doing her dirty when she ain't She-Hulk. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's
and
like,
the guy dumped her just because, the guy dumped her, in the first episode, right? The guy didn't want to. He only wanted to be with her when she was She-Hulk. When she turned back,
she's a cutie, man, with curly hair. She's a cutie. I mean, of course, that's you like if you want your women thicker, which I like thick women and all that. That's cool. I get it, but she rich. She a lawyer. She rich. She got curly hair. She got a nice family. I mean, she's a nice wholesome chick. See, people don't want wholesome chicks no more. They want big green, thick freaks. That's what they want.
Why? I wonder why they changed the origin though. Because in the original story, she was shot. In the original, in the comics,
and then she had to get a blood transfusion. Yeah. When they did that, the way they did it, for me, it seemed like that was just a rush job.
Could anybody get just cut and he bleeds on you and then you become a Hulk?
Well, and then
is it that easy or is it just something special about her?
See, some writer came up with that idea to do it like that. It was clever, but it was a rush job because it's like, okay, we're only going to be able to get Mark Ruffalo for this one time. We're going to pay him this rate. He's taking a reduced rate. I don't know what he got paid, but I'm assuming maybe he took a reduced pay. This is a TV show, so they can pay him less because we're not going to be able to keep Ruffalo on this show that often. So we're going to use the opportunity because the very best episode still to this day is the first one. It's the first one when they were both together. All of that stuff was awesome, as far as I was concerned. But yeah, that was a crazy rush job. Watch out, my blood! Oh,
yeah, a few drops and that's all it takes. So you mean if I go get cut and let him bleed on me, I would become a Hulk too?
Because if you want to be honest, that's technically not a damn transfusion. That's not a transfusion. That's just.
And now the guy slept with her and just tried to get her DNA and all that. Yeah, that's really sinister.
Like I said, people doing her dirty on that show.
It's sinister. Oh my god.
Doing her dirty.
I mean, the show got dark all of a sudden because because I used to read She-Hulk when I was a youngin', and the artist that was drawing it and writing it was John Byrne. And John Byrne is known for, he's a Marvel artist who went over to DC and worked on Superman for a while and just really, Marvel has the reputation of having characters that are more relatable, they're more realistic because they're grounded in reality. And so when John Byrne went over to DC for a minute, just talk about this for a second, he made Superman weaker. Well, not weaker, but explained how his powers worked so that it would make sense. Like when Superman picks up the plane and doesn't fall apart, because gravity, if you pick up a building and it's just gonna crumble, you got scientifically, he has like a force field around his body actually that expands, and it's like tactile telekinesis. When he's touching something, he can hold it together. So then in the heat vision, when it would come out, you wouldn't see a big ass ray beam coming out. You just see like some heat ripples, because when you send it from a radiator, you don't see lasers coming out of it. It doesn't make sense, So with She-Hulk, when he was working on She-Hulk, he brought like a sensibility to the character. It was funny. It was very funny, and they're following that. They're using John Byrne's run basically, because when the other writers worked on it, she was serious. Yeah. And she even went through her whole rampaging. And then she was gray for a minute, looking all weird in the comics, all big and buff and green and gray, and now I guess she's back, because they do these things when the shows are coming out. They make the characters more like the movie version or.
Well, I know that like from what you were saying as far as that how you were saying with how she addresses the fourth wall, all that came from you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's what
I love it. That's why I love it. I think people that are watching the show that don't know that are bashing it for the wrong reasons. I think because they would go back and read the books, because they'll have artists. Daredevil, people pretty much know Daredevil and Batman from when Frank Miller worked on them, from his legendary stories. So they're
all of those are dark. Pretty much. Frank Miller stuff is dark.
Yeah.
That was the dark version.
Yeah.
Because obviously, with them introducing Daredevil in the last episode of She-Hulk, Daredevil's he was very lighthearted as hell. Like we've never seen him as lighthearted ever. I mean, it's crazy.
In the comics, he was kind of like that for a minute. But did they have cameras in the room when they were like having sex? Because that would mean that they know that he's Matt Murdock. Because they didn't understand. I mean, they had cameras in the room, and they saw. I mean, they didn't really. That maybe that's something that they just kind of maybe hope we don't notice.
But they had that walk of shame thing at the end where he was walking out, and everything. I don't know what they're doing there.
That means that people would know who he is and who Daredevil is, and then
that ruins the whole thing.
Yeah, but because the whole thing in the comic books, when Kingpin revealed his identity and just pretty much ruined his life, and he lost his lawyer, he couldn't practice law anymore, and and then he spent all this time convincing people that he wasn't Daredevil. No, I'm not Daredevil, but
yeah. Like I said, I didn't follow any of the comics too much. I didn't really follow the comics like that. But I watched all the Netflix series and all that or whatever. So the tone is totally different in the MCU. Whatever tone that they're going for it's all lighthearted. And
cool.
It's
dark now. The whole thing with the guy sleeping with her to get her DNA, that was really dark.
The thing is, that whole show compared to the Daredevil series on Netflix, that whole show is lighthearted. Compared to the Netflix stuff was very dark, especially the Punisher being on Go Daredevil.
And I'm shocked that they put it on Disney Plus. It didn't change anything.
Yeah,
I'm really shocked that they didn't do that. I'm shocked that they didn't. But I like it. I think it's it's growing on me, because I like each episode I watch. I like it better. First episode I liked. Second one, how many episodes are there now?
This last one was 8, so the 9th.
Really?
One, yeah, the last episode, the series finale is this week.
I didn't really care much for the wedding episode.
That was really funny.
You liked it?
That was funny.
I mean, it was like, and Titania is just like trying to sue her for trying to take her name.
Is she in the comic? I never.
Yeah, but she doesn't look like that though. In the comics, she's all like, looks like a goth chick with these spiky looking. I mean, she's a big chick too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like this. I mean, because all these shows on Disney Plus, and I've seen them all. I've watched every series, every show. They're introducing new characters into the MCU and the whole universe or whatever, and some of them are not hitting with the fans, and I think that's the reason why a lot of people are not liking a lot of these different shows. But then there's a lot of people who have misogynistic views, I think, unfortunately, and I think that's the reason why they're hating on the She-Hulk. But I think the She-Hulk's cool. I think it's funny.
Did you like Moon Knight?
I did. I mean, I liked it, but at the same time, I'm not super familiar with that character. So when you see certain people who are like, I don't like it, and they're super familiar with the character, and I guess he's a lot more dark in the comic and everything like that. It's just people, especially it's like you. You're more comic based than me. I'm more like TV, movies, and whatever the case may be. The people who are into the comics have a tendency to have more backlash, and they're more upset when they have the adaptation is not like what they want it to be.
There's different runs, different artists. Just like I was saying, Frank Miller, people are familiar with Frank Miller's, his version of Batman, his version of Daredevil. That's pretty much what we get. And I'm trying to think of another example. Usually when with a run of an artist that's really popular, like the X-Men. The X-Men, I think I think for almost 16 years they were written by a guy named Chris Claremont, and he wrote a lot of those stories about. I mean, a lot of it was strong women characters. You know, I mean, he really wrote Storm really well. I mean, he's probably the best. Wrote Storm better than anybody else, and put her like in the, you know, made her important because everybody else just kind of puts her in the background. I don't think a lot of people know how to write her.
Yeah.
So the X-Men cartoon '97 was a lot of that came from, you know, Chris Claremont's run.
Oh, okay. You saying were you saying what they're doing with the X-Men show coming up?
No, I'm just saying a different artist. How sometimes that's the interpretation. So the show may be going with a particular writer. Because when I was reading Moon Knight, it was more rated R than the show was.
Okay.
I mean, it was like street level gritty, like.
Well, yeah, that's like how the Daredevil Netflix show was.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm saying. I mean,
they toned it down a bit.
Yeah.
They toned it down. They definitely toned Moon Knight down more.
Well,
than
yeah, the MCU is
Daredevil.
toning everything down, so that's why it's like I think that's the biggest reason why people are upset with what's going on, because the shows, it's like, what are you guys about to do with it? I mean, it's gonna be hard for them to top what they did with Avengers Endgame.
What did you think?
So, Sergio, I see that our table is miraculously changed and transformed into something else. What are all the things that we have here? What's going on?
Well, I have some things for show and tell that I wanted to kind of talk about.
Like back when we was little kids, you know, show and tell.
Yeah,
I like that. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll start with this. This is for the people at home. This is the Legend of Yasuki. I'm saying it wrong. My God.
Yasaki or Yasuki?
I think
Sake's a drink.
I think it's I think it's really cool. The idea that there was a character, an actual black samurai. I mean, I actually found out about this probably about maybe three or 4 years ago. I mean, there's a lot of stuff is like scrubbed from history. Horrible. Thank God that some people actually kept, you know, the historical, you know, they kept this stuff alive, you know, through stories and things. So Netflix even has a show. They have a cartoon, and there's a bunch of stuff on YouTube. A lot of interesting documentaries about this guy, and God, it's really fascinating. So I went and got the first issue today. I'm gonna start reading this stuff tonight, and I love the artwork. I mean, it's like really, really cool. So
let me ask you: that's an older comic?
No,
what?
This is recent. I think this just came out recently.
Oh, okay, but as you said, it's a black samurai. It's okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's based on a real character. This came out. Oh, this says 2020. Okay, not 2020.
Oh,
yeah, I was actually looking at some comics today on Kindle, and I saw this popped up. I saw the sample. I was like, well, look, how much is it? I think it was like $9. I was like, well, it wasn't. No, it was that $3, $2.99. So I was really shocked because it's like I think 74 pages.
How many issues do they got?
I think it's just the one.
Oh,
it's just a story about, you know, him. You know, but you know, I guess they got some fictional stuff going on, some supernatural stuff going on, because I don't think they were actually like monsters and dragons and stuff.
Oh, so you're saying this is supposed to be based on a real person?
Well, it is.
He was a black samurai?
Yeah, there was an actual black samurai.
Really?
Yeah, named Yasuki. Yeah, it was really interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, Nobunaga, I think the legend, the guy he was a ruler of Japan at the time, and he supposedly defeated an army of like 10,000 people with like a very small army, and so the legend was that there was some supernatural stuff going on, you know. Yeah, but you know, nobody's alive from when that actually happened. So we don't know if there were actually demons and monsters running around and, you know, helping Nobunaga out. Anyway, the second thing for show and tell, this is called the Steam Deck.
This is like something. This is like brand new type of thing. Or what?
I think this has been on the market officially since like beginning of this year. Officially.
Oh, so it's new.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I waited like 6 months to get this. I waited like 6 months. I mean, there's some people that have been waiting for longer than that because of, you know, because of the C word that's been going on. There's been like a lot of like shortages in chips, people working at home, you know, all kinds of problems. But if you play games on your PC, you're either using Valve Steam, which is, you know, Valve is the name of the company that makes the Steam Deck, and Valve service is called Steam. So you think of Steam as like Nintendo or Xbox or Sony, PlayStation, but on your PC.
Okay.
So the cool thing about playing on PC is like if you don't have to pay for monthly service online, you know, for one thing. Like Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, they charge you a monthly fee just to play online. which is like, I think it should go away. On your PC, you can literally find any video game you can think about. You can find it online.
Oh,
yeah, I mean that's the amazing thing about PCs. There's programs called emulators, which is another reason why people like this thing, because the emulator just lets you. It's a program that tricks the machine into acting like the console. So like, say you want to play GameCube games on your computer, you download the emulator, and the emulator makes the machine act like a GameCube, and it can play those titles.
Oh, that's cool. And so any game, Sega, any like old games too.
Yeah. That's what it's mostly for. Because see, what happened was the gaming companies, like Nintendo likes to make you buy games over again. Mm-hmm. So like the game Mario came out for the Wii U, and you bought a Nintendo Switch. You can't just port your Mario game over to your Switch. You got to buy that Mario game again.
Gotcha.
You know, I mean, I think going forward they're going to start changing that, because Microsoft took a big stance in backwards compatibility. I can play my old Xbox games on my new Xbox. You know, I think that saved Microsoft.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's safe to say that that's safe. But the emulating it's legal, and it's, you know, the companies can't really do anything about it. And it's good for collectors, because say you are trying to find a game, and online that game is like $5,000. You can find the emulator, you can just download the game and play it. I mean, you're not paying for it, so I mean, I guess there's the slippery slope. But but it's the same thing, I guess, with a movie. If you already have the disc, or you own the movie digitally or whatever, if you download it off the internet for free somewhere, it's not illegal because you already own it. No. So this is one of those weird things.
Gotcha.
And this is a pretty powerful machine, though. I mean, they're like three different models. There's a low end model that only has 64 gigs of memory, which is just awful. You can't do nothing with 64 gigs. Call of Duty is like 150 gigs. So then there's how much is the other one? I mean, there's 64 gigs. I think there's 256 gig model. And then there's a 512 model, which is like $630. The 64 gig model is $399. The 256 is $400, I believe, and this one, like I said, is $630. Came to like $700 or something when they added in taxes. Then I bought this case, which was like another $15 to $20. The low end model, it's got like a slower. It's something with the processor, it's slower downloading or something. It's got a micro SD card, so you can always upgrade the storage if you want. But PCs, I think it's amazing that people spend so much money on Xboxes and PlayStations and Nintendos. I guess it's convenient. With PC, you gotta tinker with it and you know, to get the performance or whatever. It requires you to be a little bit more technically savvy.
Let me ask you a question. So if you could think of, because it seems like you really like that, if you could think of any disadvantages of that product, what would you say that it, you know?
Well, I would have to say the battery life, because the battery life on gaming PCs, period, is usually shitty.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. You usually get like an hour and a half at the most with most gaming PCs, even the ones that are really super expensive.
You said it's usually shitty. Why do you think that is? Or why is that specifically with this? Why is the battery life not so good?
I think just with like gaming PCs, they're assuming that you're always going to be near a socket.
Oh, gotcha.
Or maybe that's the trade-off. I mean, I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe there could be a logistical reason why the battery life is so bad. I mean, that's always a problem with gaming PCs. Even the high-end gaming PCs, the battery life is awful. Yeah, and then you have the heat. These things always have these, they call them heat sinks that they put inside. This thing gets really hot. Gaming PCs get really hot. They call them laptops, but you won't want to be having any kids. You're not going to be having any kids if you sit those things in your lap for a long time, because they really get hot. Yeah. That's it. But I mean, I think it's really the battery life. That's the only thing they need to improve, and the UI. But this is relatively new. They are still literally, as we speak, making updates and fixing things. They listen to the community and making changes. And you can install Windows on this. This is a PC, literally a PC in the form factor of a handheld console.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you can do a lot with it. I mean, the fact that you can install Windows on it is amazing.
Yeah.
But it takes a little bit of tinkering, and I'm not going to do it. I mean, I may do it later. What they need to do is just have an app. a Windows app. I mean, they have the Chrome, the Google Chrome app. It works. They have it. I mean, I think it's great because that means I can watch YouTube. I can go to Google Chrome, open up Netflix, open up Amazon, or and so there's a lot, but you got to be near a battery, a power source. I may have to get a battery pack at some point. They have a dock. You want to hook it up to your TV, but you don't have to get the dock because the dock is like $90. It's expensive. You just get a little adapter and just run it to your TV.
So then, if you're on a plane flight or something like that, that probably wouldn't be the best thing to bring, right?
I mean, it would be a what is the word I'm looking for? It would be complementing something. You would need something else. I mean, because you're only gonna get like an hour. You're gonna probably get at least at the most an hour and a half.
Okay, so you would obviously, if you went on a plane flight, a long plane flight especially, you would bring that. If you wanted to bring that, you're gonna probably bring what, your Nintendo Switch or something like that.
Yeah, I would have my tablet. I would play this a little bit, and then watch a movie, listen to some music. Probably bring the Switch too.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm happy with my purchase. I can't wait to see what they do with it. I'm looking forward to see because they're constantly like adding things and fixing things and doing updates.
And if they improve the battery life, what does that mean? That they'll give you another battery that's better than the other battery? Is that what that?
The cool thing about this is they made it where it's very easy to open up.
Okay.
Because I mean, I've been playing PC games. I mean, I bought my first gaming PC. I think I got it. I feel like I got it right before maybe 2019. I think right before the whole the C word became a thing. And I learned a lot about. See, when you have a gaming PC, it's almost like it's a different lifestyle. Like when your PC breaks down, like for me, when my PC broke down, I had to call a person to come and fix it a few times. But I paid attention, and I started learning. So when my PC breaks down now, I can open it and fix it myself. Mm-hmm. And this is very much like a PC. So most PC gamers, I would go out on a limb and say most of us know how to troubleshoot our own devices. So they made this very accessible. So it's conceivable that within the next 6 months, they may actually have another battery that you can take you can take that one out and put the other battery in there. Okay. I mean, unlike my phone, I don't think that this phone, my old phone, actually I could take the battery out and replace it. This phone, I hate that they do that because it makes you have to buy another phone at some point because the battery's gonna die eventually. Yeah, but you can open up